The WWE Universe has been rocked to its core by an absolutely earth-shattering revelation that no one saw coming. Triple H has just publicly confirmed what many fans only dared to speculate: Seth Rollins' injury was never real. That's right. The entire ordeal, the crutches, the emotional promos, the miraculous recovery, it was all staged, part of an elaborate and calculated plan by WWE leadership to screw CM Punk out of the World Championship at SummerSlam 2025. And the reason behind it is more twisted, layered, and shocking than anyone ever imagined. But before we unravel the chaos, the betrayal, and the implications of this stunning confession, make sure you're fully geared up for battle with the hottest WWE merchandise. Roman Reigns limited edition OTC1 action figures are flying off the shelves faster than a Superman punch, and the exclusive OTC1 tech-enhanced sneakers are nearly gone. Don't forget to Representative Jey Uso's iconic, 4 letters, 1 word, shirt and grab Jacob Fatu's Ruthless, all gas no brains, tee. Links are below, and stock is vanishing by the hour. Now, back to the firestorm that has engulfed WWE. Ever since SummerSlam, fans across the globe were left baffled by the surreal sequence of events that saw Seth Rollins, who had been declared medically unfit to compete, hobble out on crutches, only to miraculously stand tall moments later and cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase on a stunned CM Punk to capture the title. The internet exploded with theories. Was the injury legitimate? Was Punk set up? Was Rollins in on something darker? And now, after weeks of cryptic interviews, subtle hints, and mounting pressure from fans and insiders, Triple H called for an emergency WWE press conference where the truth was finally laid bare, and it blew the roof off the place. With a stoic expression and the entire wrestling media world watching, Triple H took the stage. The room was silent, tension thick in the air. Then came the bombshell. He calmly stated, after careful review, that the injury Seth Rollins had allegedly suffered was, in fact, a storyline fabrication. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. Triple H urged fans to understand the deeper context behind the decision. He dropped a 4-part revelation that turned SummerSlam's entire narrative upside down. First, he revealed that CM Punk was never originally intended to defeat Gunther. The plan, approved months in advance, was for Gunther to retain his title and build toward a high-stakes confrontation with Rollins. Second, according to Triple H, Punk began lobbying hard behind the scenes for increased creative input, so much so that it created friction with Wee's writing team. Third, Punk allegedly went off-script during his match with Gunther, creating chaos that forced the company into crisis mode. With Gunther now dethroned and their long-term plans wrecked, creative scrambled for a solution. And fourth, the only way to preserve Rollins' anticipated cash-in while protecting Punk's star power was to concoct the injury angle. But then came the ultimate gut punch. Triple H played unreleased backstage footage on the big screen, showing Seth Rollins walking confidently and without pain just minutes before his dramatic crutch-assisted entrance. The crowd gasped. Journalists shouted over each other. The scandal had just become undeniable. Within seconds, chaos erupted. CM Punk was seen storming out of the press conference in a blind rage, allegedly flipping over a table and yelling at security staff backstage. The footage quickly went viral, sending shockwaves across social media. Fans were stunned, betrayed, outraged. For many, the idea that WWE executives would fake an injury just to sabotage a returning legend like Punk crossed every line. For others, it confirmed what they always suspected: WWE plays dirty when their power is challenged. As for Rollins, his championship reign is now forever stained. What was once viewed as a heroic comeback is now being dissected as corporate manipulation. Even his most loyal supporters are asking if he was complicit in the lie. Did he knowingly take part in a scheme to rob Punk? Or was he simply used as a pawn in a much larger war? Backstage reactions have also been telling. Roman Reigns, ever the tactician, was reportedly seen smirking as the news broke, turning to Jey Uso and saying, "I knew it," with a chilling calm. Meanwhile, Paul Heyman's camp is reportedly thrilled. Sources claim they believe Punk has been psychologically shattered by the betrayal, and this opens the door for their dominance to resume uncontested. But the real story here runs deeper than a single match or a championship belt. It exposes a growing divide behind the scenes between talent and management, between storytelling and control. CM Punk's desire for autonomy, his attempt to rewrite the narrative, may have triggered WWE's retaliation. Multiple insiders now claim Vince McMahon himself gave the green light to fake Rollins' injury as an act of poetic justice against Punk's long history of rebellion. Now, fans are left to decide, was WWE justified in orchestrating the biggest deception of the year? Did CM Punk go too far in trying to control his legacy? Should the title be returned to Punk, or does the chaos serve as a warning to others who defy the system? One thing is certain, nothing about SummerSlam 2025 will ever be viewed the same again. The war between truth and narrative has just begun. If you're fired up, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another breaking development. And don't forget to sound off in the comments with your hottest take, because this story is far from over. The WWE Universe is in absolute disbelief, left stunned by one of the most controversial confessions in the history of professional wrestling. In a move that shattered every illusion fans thought they understood, Triple H has now officially confirmed that Seth Rollins' much-publicized injury, an injury that sidelined him in the weeks leading up to SummerSlam 2025 and set the stage for an emotional, crutch-assisted return, was never real. That's right. The torn ligaments, the dramatic medical updates, the video packages documenting his recovery, and the tears he shed during interviews. It was all an elaborate fabrication carefully orchestrated by WWE management to pull off what is now being called the most ruthless, calculated betrayal CM Punk has ever experienced. But the real reason behind this deception is even darker and more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. Before we dive deep into the betrayal, the hidden agenda, and the emotional fallout now tearing through the locker room, let's take a moment to represent the WWE era we're living through. The hottest WWE gear is nearly gone. Roman Reigns' OTC1 figures are selling out faster than his title defenses, and those limited edition OTC1 Tay sneakers are turning heads in every arena. If you want to make a statement, get Jey Uso's infamous, 4 letters, 1 word, shirt and Jacob Fatu's unapologetic, all gas, no brains, tee before they disappear from the shop for good. Because once they're gone for real, just like the trust CM Punk once had in this company. Now let's rewind the tape and piece together the shocking chain of events that have led us here. At SummerSlam 2025, CM Punk walked into the arena believing he was on top of the world. After all, he had just pulled off the impossible, defeating Gunther in what was being hailed as one of the greatest modern wrestling matches of all time, ending the Austrian juggernaut's legendary reign and finally recapturing championship gold. Fans exploded with joy, social media went into overdrive, and Punk was emotional, thanking the fans for believing in his second run. But all of that was violently ripped away just minutes later when Seth Rollins emerged, limping heavily on crutches, his body wrapped in athletic tape, his expression one of pain, but also deadly purpose. With every fan in the arena screaming in disbelief, Rollins handed over his Money in the Bank briefcase and cashed in. Moments later, Punk's triumph turned to horror as he was curb-stomped and pinned. Seth Rollins held the championship high, and the era of Punk was over before it could even begin. For weeks, speculation ran rampant. The timing was too perfect, the injury too convenient. Punk himself couldn't hide his fury, cutting promos that hinted at sabotage, betrayal, and backstage manipulation. Roman Reigns raised eyebrows when he posted a cryptic photo of a snake devouring its own tail. Even Jey Uso let a smirk slip during a post-show interview, alluding to the idea that some things just don't heal that fast. Fans began theorizing, was the injury a work? Was Rollins faking it? Was this all an inside job? And yet no one thought WWE would actually admit it. That changed today. At an emergency press conference called by WWE, Triple H walked to the podium with an expression that gave nothing away. Behind him, the WWE logo loomed large, and a hushed tension gripped the room. Then he spoke, and everything changed. After careful review of the events surrounding Seth Rollins' return at SummerSlam, Triple H began, "I want to be completely transparent with the WWE Universe. Yes, the injury was part of a storyline. It was scripted. It was planned. It was executed to protect the bigger picture." The air was sucked out of the room. Reporters' jaws dropped. Social media exploded in real time. But he didn't stop there. Triple H went on to explain the full story in 4 brutal points. First, he revealed that CM Punk was never supposed to defeat Gunther. The entire SummerSlam narrative was built around Gunther retaining and progressing to a long-awaited feud with Seth Rollins. Second, Punk had reportedly pushed hard for more creative control behind the scenes, demanding input on his match finish, questioning the script, and even threatening to go off-book if his demands weren't met. Third, he did exactly that. In the ring, Punk defied the planned finish and called his own shot, forcing WWE into an unscripted title change that left management blindsided. And fourth, the only way to salvage their long-term plans, including Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank cash-in, was to fabricate an injury story that would allow Rollins to return in a shocking, sympathy-driven moment that would override Punk's unexpected win. But the most devastating moment came when Triple H played footage on the giant screen behind him, undeniable, unedited backstage video of Seth Rollins just minutes before his entrance. In the clip, Rollins is walking casually, chatting with producers, laughing, stretching. No limp, no crutches, no pain. And then, right on cue, he grabs the crutches, changes his expression, and begins his dramatic walk to the curtain. The audience watching the press conference gasped. The lie was no longer theory, it was fact. The fallout was immediate. CM Punk was seen backstage storming out of the press area, throwing chairs, flipping a table, and screaming at producers. His trust in WWE, already hanging by a thread, has now completely imploded. Seth Rollins, once hailed as the architect of his own destiny, now faces the harshest judgment of all, being labeled a corporate puppet whose legacy is permanently scarred by the biggest lie in modern wrestling. Roman Reigns, who once feuded bitterly with both men, was caught on a hot mic saying, "I told you they'd eat each other alive." Jey Uso nodded silently beside him. Meanwhile, Paul Heyman and his camp are reportedly celebrating. With Punk emotionally fractured and the fanbase divided, they believe the power vacuum is theirs to fill. But behind the scenes, the truth runs even deeper. Multiple sources have now confirmed that Vince McMahon personally authorized the injury angle from behind the scenes, seeing it as poetic justice for Punk's long history of defiance. According to insiders, McMahon saw this not as sabotage, but as a corporate chess move. One source even quoted him saying, "Punk wanted to play God. We reminded him who really writes the script." Now, the WWE Universe is caught in a storm of outrage, betrayal, and unanswered questions. Was WWE justified in faking a major injury to protect its narrative? Did CM Punk cross the line by defying creative orders? Should the title be vacated or returned to Punk? And what happens next in a company now exposed as willing to blur the line between fiction and manipulation more than ever before? This scandal has only just begun to unfold. The impact will ripple across Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and beyond. Wrestlers are reportedly split backstage, some defending the move as brilliant storytelling, others calling it a betrayal of trust that will haunt the company for years. As fans demand justice, Punk's future in WWE is now more uncertain than ever. Could this spark a new exodus? A legal battle? A revolution? We'll be watching every second. Smash that like button if you're shocked, hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay locked in as this story explodes further. And sound off in the comments, should Punk get his title back? Was Rollins a victim or a villain? Who really runs WWE, and where does the truth begin in an industry built on illusion? One thing is certain, the war between CM Punk and WWE is far from over, and the next chapter could change everything.